All the lies that you told, did you believe in them? All the choices you made, did you make them again? All the lies that you told, did you believe in them? Choices you made, did you make them again?
All the choices you made, did you make them again?
Yo, what's up everybody? K Creative in the house doing our SharePoint weekly newsletter Roundup Friday here. Yes, it is all day long. Oh man, busy day today. Sorry I'm running so late. Here we are 10 minutes past the hour and just now kicking off, but thanks for jumping on. All right, what we're going to do today is go over the newsletter. We do it every Friday at noon. Coming back to it after a little bit of a break though over the summer. So let me pull that up. It's been a crazy busy morning. So I apologize for the tardiness again. Let's see, where's that at? There it goes. All right, let me throw this into the screen. Let's do a little share and let's just get into it. I haven't had a chance to kind of go through these yet and see what's going down, but we'll just figure it out together. So if you don't know already, it's a MailChimp newsletter we send out every Friday. Kind of rolls up all the latest news in the SharePoint space, Office 365 in general, Microsoft related, anything like that, right? So what we're going to do today is just kind of navigate through those things we called out in our newsletter. Let's do it. Top news stories. It's broken down into 3 sections. Top news stories around the blogosphere and SharePoint events, so you can kind of get plugged into the things that are happening in the SharePoint space, maybe in your area. So we're just going to jump in. I got to get through this pretty quick today. Heading into DC here in just a moment. Got a customer call, meeting, got to take care of. And yeah, gotta have to hit the road. So let's do this. So top news stories today. What's today? Friday the 13th, 2019. All right, so top news stories, September 2019 CUs for SharePoint 2019, 16, 13, and 10 seem to have been updated. So there you go. I'm not going to go into those. I usually don't go into those into detail just because there's so many specifics in each one of those CUs. So go check those out if you're a SharePoint admin and you're interested in that. SharePoint security fixes released with SharePoint September 2019 PU product update and offered through Microsoft Update. let's check that out real quick. What kind of update we got going on here? Some feedback that I also should add the URLs to the KB articles. These are different security fixes. All right, so there's a few KBs out there now for all the living versions of SharePoint. Is 2010 technically living? I don't know. I think it's past its extended support date, right? SharePoint Online adding site swap and other new features. Redmond channel partner. Site swap, that's right. This is that new PowerShell, if I'm not mistaken, right? How do we interact with it? Let's see here. Let's go from the top. They recently announced, sorry, fighting this thing, whole house is fighting it. Announced some new capabilities coming to the SharePoint Online subscribers, particularly those getting so-called targeted releases. The additions were summed up in a couple of announcements. They described a new site swap capability for IT pros, new features for end users, and what else? There are some new web parts available, blah, 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 blah. All right. So the site swap feature and new web parts are arriving on top of other items released in August for SharePoint Online users. For instance, page authoring and content management features also were released last month. For the site swap, let's see here. One of the, let's see, Wayne Ewington, a program manager on OneDrive and SharePoint, gave some of these details. He says, it's a new PowerShell capability for SharePoint Online users that gets executed using the invoke SPO site swap commandlet. Site swap swaps out an organization's SharePoint Online root site. It might get used by organizations making the shift to so-called modern. True dat. We've been waiting for this thing for a minute. Modern pages are based on using the SharePoint framework. Yeah, so anyways, you're going to have that. For up until now, you didn't have a way to really kind of set your root site collection in SharePoint Online as a modern experience. I mean, you could build a page underneath the site, make that your default. But as for sort of creating brand new from a modern template and then specifying that that's going to be your intranet's home, like the root site, now you can do that. Nice to finally be able to do that. Also calling out another or some other new user features in August. What do we got here? Now permits SharePoint Online site owners to associate a team site or a comm site with a hub site. Such actions no longer require having administrator privileges. That's right. Site owners can do that now. Microsoft also broadened the ability for end users to elicit comments regarding non-Office files. So that's right. You can upload PDFs now and sort of get that comment history and that whole collaboration piece around the document there. Doesn't have to be Microsoft documents now. A new popular Around Me section in the OneDrive interface. And a couple of mobile app Office 365 enhancements mentioned. So Yammer mobile app in August will have a new launch experience that takes you right to your feed, not just your groups. And it'll support live event participation and Q&As. That's pretty cool. What's this? Microsoft expects that Samsung Galaxy devices will be able to sync photos and videos to OneDrive storage. That's cool. So some new web parts. A new button web part was released. The button which can be labeled with text. Yep. I think page 2 is going to go into the what's it called? The hero web part can now have multiple links, a secondary link in it actually, and then highlighted content web part, which is going to be kind of like our content rollup web part, where you can specify some camel queries and some KQL queries and kind of get to the documents that you're looking for, the stuff that matters to you. One second here. Looking for my link there. All right, so there we go. What else we got going on? We got 3 things to learn before considering a blockchain integration. They're saying it's naturally a secure encryption structure, making it an emerging technology that businesses are considering to beef up the security, shareability, and functionality of their record keeping. But a lot of pushback against blockchain integration, however, which comes from people misunderstanding how it works and what it does. Okay. So public blockchain is just one of many types of distributed ledger technologies where transactions are recorded in multiple places at once without being linked to a central database. That's what makes blockchain perfect for traceability. Swider said this includes using it to track food supplies, cars, and more. So here are 3 things that you can learn, that you should learn, I guess, before integrating blockchain into your workflow. Understand how blockchain works, figure out if this technology is right for you. There's a whole bunch of details about that, and collaborate with others. For example, if you run a company in Boston and want to share data with partner organizations in other places, You can create a consortium network. This brings people onto a network through the use of a variety of third-party software to collectively share and edit content. Anyways, a lot of details there around how you might be able to, update your knowledge on blockchain and how that might work with your organization and what you're trying to do. What else? Microsoft Office 365 gets automated response to phishing, nasty links, malware. Talked about this last week a little bit, how SharePoint was being used to trick people into clicking on malicious documents. Specifically, I think there were OneNote documents. So they made an automated incident response in Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection generally available to enterprise customers. The automation feature, announced in preview earlier this April, aims to help security analysts respond faster and more systematically to a barrage of security alerts. I was like, where's that sound coming from? It's this video in the background. With that. Two categories of automated incident response, making those generally available. The first are automatic investigations that commence in response to new alerts, such as users reporting phishing email, or users clicking on a link determined to be malicious, or malware being detected in received email, and phishing email that has landed in a user's mailbox. Second category consists of manually initiated investigations that use Microsoft's automated playbook sequences. For example, one playbook helps security analysts respond to user reports of phishing email, while the weaponized URL playbook assists in the response to a URL found to be malicious. That's cool. So you got some updates there. Both require contracts of 1 year. It's available in the Microsoft Office 365 E5 security bundle. Wow, it's $35 a user a month. Interesting. Definitely going to have to beef up that security, right? It's just going to be the constant game we play, though, moving forward into the future. The major hybrid cloud options compared: AWS Outpost versus Azure Stack versus Google Anthos. Now that all the major public cloud providers have a clearly defined hybrid cloud solution on the market, we can start to compare the different approaches. Microsoft has long been the go-to option for hybrid deployments amongst the big three, with its well-established Azure Stack, which was available in technical preview as long ago as January 2016. Wow, long time ago. AWS signaled its first serious move into hybrid deployments at its reInvent conference in 2018 with the launch of Outpost, a fully managed service where AWS delivers pre-configured hardware and software to the customer's on-prem data center or co-location space to run applications in a cloud-native manner. And then Google Cloud made a splash in April 2018 when it announced the general availability of Anthos, a new platform which promises the ability to run applications on-premise in the Google Cloud and, crucially, with other major public cloud providers like Azure and Amazon. What do they say down here? So you got Oracle's infrastructure as a service business may not be booming, but it has long provided a hybrid option for customers called Cloud at Customer. IBM has made a clear strategic shift towards being a hybrid cloud vendor since its $33 billion acquisition of the open source Linux company Red Hat in 2018. Their conclusion here: OpenStack is another option. You got VMware, you got Cisco Cloud Center. Okay, just kind of calling out your options there for the hybrid, right? I'd be interested to know how many of you guys out there are running hybrid. Microsoft is now gearing up to bring two major changes to Chromium on Windows 10. Let's see. They recently made many interesting changes to Windows 10 as part of its effort to incorporate fluent design. The tech giant has added a drop shadow to different parts of the OS, including the menu items. Now Microsoft plans to extend the functionality to the Chromium project. Those menus in the Chromium browsers that are designed to aid using HTML form controls will get the drop shadow effect very soon. Is that it right there? That drop shadow? You can see that? Recent Chromium Garrett commit revealed that Microsoft engineers are working to bring drop shadow support to the pop-up menus available in the Chromium browser. Might get Edge-style scrolling on Windows 10. Scrolling functionality in Microsoft Edge is considered to be its strong points. However, this smooth scrolling was missing in other Chromium browsers. Another commit shows that the company is now planning to add Edge-style scrolling. Okay, apart from the drop shadow support and scrolling improvements, the Redmond Giant is working on a number of other changes, including improved battery life and audio processing support. Although Chromium Edge is not released yet, many people have already shifted to the new Edge browser. This thing indicates that Microsoft's efforts to offer a competitive browser are really paying off. True that. I'm just comparing the two here. I've got the beta up over here. I think that's Drop Shadow. I don't know if it's in the beta version yet or not, but it looks like it is. Right, moving on. So now we're into the blogs. So top stories are coming from our media outlets, if you will, our those organizations out there that pretty much write news for a living about what's going on in the Microsoft space. And then we have the Around the Blogosphere, which is our MVPs and our enthusiasts and evangelists in the Microsoft space that commonly write a bunch of stuff that we all consume and use on our ventures into SharePoint land and solutioning of problems and requirements. So here we go. Tips and tricks working with the SPFX library components. Probably useful if you're in the developer space and you're starting to write with the SharePoint framework. It looks like Stefan's got some tips and tricks here for you. So don't use npm link. I'll just call it out at the high level here. I'm not going to go into detail. If you do use npm link and do this, add npm post install script, use npm install instead of npm link. Yep. So there you go. If you're in that space, check that out. It's probably some good info for you. Tips there from some of the guys heavily involved in SharePoint framework. Using the SFPX? It's SPFX. Library component for simplifying the localization experience. I think we looked at something to deal with localization recently. The gist is one of the hardest things when creating and maintaining a product is localization. It requires a lot of testing, validation, and follow-up. In SharePoint Framework projects, it's no different, maybe even a bit harder, as the localization files are created per component. This means that you might have to take care of duplicate localization keys and labels. All right, so there's a solution to that. How to create a tile view on modern SharePoint lists. Modern SharePoint lists just received the option to include a tile view to display data on a modern and good-looking layout. So the tile view is available in document libraries for a long time, but the one released for list is a bit different. While on libraries the layout is pre-built by Microsoft, on the list you have to build your own using the list view formatting feature. So if you're new to the list view formatting, I strongly recommend you start by reading this. He says this is from, I don't even know how to say his name. I hate that. Zhao? I don't know. Here and here to get familiar with the JSON schema. So to add the tile view, do this, right? Add some code there into the list view formatting. You paste it in here. It's all within the front end. Manage your car fleet. Cool. Do some more stuff and configuration there. And then you've got the samples there. So that's what it would end up looking like. So that'd be pretty cool, right? To have your list data kind of presented in a way that, I don't know, resembles more of a modern grid view of your data, right? It's pretty neat. I could see using that. What else we got here? Add thumbnail field in multiple SharePoint lists. What's the thumbnail field? Thumbnail field in multiple SharePoint sites? Sorry. So you've seen in the community that when you add a column with the internal name of thumbnail, SharePoint automatically generates a preview of the document. In the post below, we'll add this column to multiple SharePoint sites that have the list or library that you intend to have the preview of the document. This feature has been requested on the SharePoint user voice. So replace the below sites variables with your own sites and list name. Run some PowerShell here. It's also possible to apply this preview of the documents using the SharePoint column formatting. You can find the instructions on how to apply that via the feature in the link below. Yeah, so, okay. So there's that thumbnail column. Did you see that? So quick. Like, boom, square, document, go. Cool. That might be useful. Check that out. Implement it if you like. What about security between Dynamics 365 and SharePoint? What about it? One of the leading CRM systems nowadays is Dynamics 365. Together with SharePoint, it provides great document collaboration features, and many organizations around the world already use them as a do-it. In this post, we'll discuss how to ensure security settings synchronization between Dynamics 365 and SharePoint. It's going to be very practical. So the issue of privileges and permissions between Dynamics and SharePoint. Microsoft offers a standard out-of-the-box integration between the two, but it enables organizations to link SharePoint documents with CRM records. Moreover, it enables users to manage SharePoint documents and use many of the document management features of SharePoint directly in the user interface of Dynamics. But the security models of the two differ significantly. Results in documents in SharePoint being accessible to users without the required Dynamics CRM privileges. Oh, that's true. Imagine a company has its contract values and prospects in their CRM system available only to senior managers. CRM is synced with SharePoint for the sake of document collaboration, productivity, and so on. And so, surprise, the documents which are restricted pretty much from everyone except for certain senior managers are available to anyone in SharePoint. Because when it goes and provisions those in SharePoint, it doesn't actually set permissions on them. So how to combine the benefits of both solutions and enforce the correct access rights at the same time? Yes, there is a solution. CB Dynamics. Is this a customer solution or like a third-party product? Let me see here. Yes, it is. So, through the use of Microsoft's partners and third-party solution providers, you can too have synced security between the two. The takeaway, rapidly evolving, conquering the market. Definitely on a Microsoft site, isn't it? So it is only natural if your organization uses it for customer relationship management and the capacity of the system is boosted in combination with SharePoint, a flexible multifunctional document management system, blah, 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 blah. Integration of the two allows making good use of the duet. If you ensure the synchronization of permissions and privileges using these third-party products. Ask for a free trial. There you go. There is a way to do that. How to achieve paperless Office with SharePoint and Office 365. Remove printers. Here's a good start. Connect to SharePoint and Microsoft Teams during the meeting. Use OneNote to place in place of paper. Educate users about co-authoring and version history. Look at that. Barack Obama uses SharePoint. Aha. Allow and encourage the use of mobile apps. Automate business processes using Flow. There you go. How many steps was that? 5, 6 steps to achieve paperless Office. New SP usage docs, PNP repository. It's not totally new, but just now getting to the point where I feel like a blog post is merited. So a little background: for quite a few years, Tom Resing and I have been talking about the existing SharePoint documentation. All right, so we touched on this last week actually. And I think it might have been this exact post. Yes, it is. So, they're updating the SharePoint documentation to be more friendly, to provide, I guess, better access to those in the user side of SharePoint, if I'm not mistaken. There's a voluminous content. There is voluminous content for developers and end users and admins, but not a lot for site owners and citizen developers. So going to be a focus on that. They're going to start with adding all this documentation in GitHub and allowing for pull requests to update that content, and then they're going to move it over. All right. Convert your InfoPath forms to Stratus forms. Sounds like a third-party product too. Where's the Stratus forms? Form Builder, InfoPath Conversion Assistant. What is this? Show JavaScript. SharePoint lists name for form. Find InfoPath field. Okay. Go read the details real quick. Recently wrote a blog post urging all of you fine folks to stop creating new InfoPath forms. It's time to start taking the InfoPath into life seriously and start looking at what the future for forms holds in SharePoint. So what do you do about all those old InfoPath forms? We've talked to some people who have thousands of InfoPath forms. Ooh, excuse me. First of all, I'm so sorry. Second of all, do you really need all those thousands of forms today? Probably not. You just went crazy with them. Admit it. Your first step to identify the forms you really need to convert, and then have some sort of archival plan for the rest. So, not a silver bullet. You will need to be comfortable with HTML. For more complicated forms with dynamic views and business logic, you will need to write some JavaScript. It's a start though. Take your info path form, rename it to have a .cab extension, paste the form HTML in that converter we just linked on or clicked on. Replace the info path form fields with Stratus form fields and add a save button. Ta-da. Interesting. I haven't checked that out, so I can't really like go, yeah, use that, but sounds handy. It's like it's just a tool to convert it over into a JavaScript form, which is nice. Modern CEWP, Content Editor Web Part by SBJS. To ease the transition from classic to modern SharePoint experience in SharePoint Online, I have made an SPFX web part that replicates the behavior of the Content Editor web part. Yeah, that's the web part that we've all used for years to get some customization into our SharePoint pages. So this guy in the modern experience has made a new version of that so that you can continue to do the things the old way in the new way. Or you can just use the new way. There are some limitations, but you know. All right, handling page creation events in your SPFX application customizer. Some time ago, I wrote about things to check in your SharePoint Framework application customizer for making sure it behaves correctly on navigation events. This includes checks to see if you navigated to another page, different hub site, and site with another language. In most cases, these are the checks that you want to put in place. There are already a couple articles written about the navigation events topic. There you go. One more thing to check or add. There was an issue when creating a new page in SharePoint a couple of months ago, or even longer. When you created a new page from the UI, SharePoint created a new page for you with a unique name and opened it in edit mode. Nowadays, it does it differently. These days, when you create a page, it redirects you to the following page on the site, site pages/new page. This is good, as there won't be any new page created until you save it, or until the automated save action kicks in. This happens a couple of seconds after you give your page a title and start editing the content zone. Adding an extra browser history check. So since the navigation event handler won't be called during these new page creation transition, we need to find another solution. The solution is this for something I created for checking the display mode of the page. The approach used in the related article was to bind into the browser history API. There you go, is a solution to that. What? Still working on bind to history there. All right. Did that one. Optimize your SPFX projects with React.lazy. Step on. What's he got? SharePoint Framework offers you a pretty solid project setup, but on the other hand, it doesn't give you options to optimize the gulp, build, or the Webpack configuration. The more web parts exist in a single project, the slower the build task becomes, and all the code in the project will be compiled at once, instead of smaller incremental builds. Problem is code duplication, React lazy loading, and React loadable. Wouldn't it be nice to split out component 1 and component 2 into separate files? Maybe even load them only on demand. True. How to implement, da-da-da-da-da. A look on the file system, what it looks like. And look at these sizes. Solution without lazy loading. 163, 139. Cool, but we use library components. Verdict. Instead of writing a React.js web part, you should also consider when a component needs to be loaded and how you like to reuse your user interface components. React's lazy loading also allows you to go way beyond just user interface components. Webpack might be improved dramatically, but I haven't extensively tested it. With every development project, planning is crucial, and to write a web part without knowing optimization techniques can make a difference for your users. True that. True that, Stefan. Use Office 365 connected groups in Yammer. So the platform allows you to integrate your Yammer groups to Office 365. Technically, it means that each time when new Yammer groups will be created, it will also be created in Azure AD of the tenant of this Yammer network. In order to enable Office 365 connected groups in Yammer, you need to log into your Yammer network with administrator account and go to the network settings, network admin, security settings. On this page, first need to enforce 365 identity. All right. Cool stuff. I think that's it for Around the Blogosphere. That's it for top news stories. Last but not least, SharePoint events, and then we peace out. So, not going to give the whole spiel, but you should go to SharePoint Saturdays if you've never been to one. If you have been to one, keep going. More people, the merrier, right? We'll just continue to get more interest in presenters and things like that, the more attendance that we have. So anyways, good deal. Good thing to go to. So SharePoint Saturday's coming up. You got one in Barcelona, Stockholm, Adelaide, Pittsburgh, Helsinki, Los Angeles, Richmond, Boston, Ottawa, Cincinnati, Denver, Ensenada, Brussels, Kansas City, and Sydney. So if you're anywhere around those areas, get some. Go do that. September 19th, we've got the Panda Talk coming up. That's me. I'm going to give a discussion for about 18 minutes online. So you can register for that on our website under the webinars and events section. I'm going to talk about how SharePoint makes for a very good project management tool. Without products being implemented, just going to be a talk about how SharePoint's really good at that, and yeah, showing some of the benefit of that. So September 24th online, you can attend a Microsoft online course here, or a webinar, I guess if you will, a learning session, building modern SharePoint applications using the SharePoint framework. September 26th, same thing from Microsoft, knowledge management, centralizing your organizational content and resources, and that's it. Those are some of the upcoming events here. We do have another, I don't see it on here. Or wait, is this ours? I was thinking this was the Microsoft event. This is ours. So September 26th, 12 o'clock, it'll be me giving a knowledge management webinar. That's what it was. So please do jump on. I'd love to have you, especially next Thursday, the 19th, for our Panda Talk. Look forward to seeing y'all on there. All right, guys, I have got to run into DC, so I got to bolt. Thank you guys for jumping on. I will check you next Wednesday when we do our webinar prep and kind of hang out, go through some SharePoint news, and then Thursday for the Panda Talk, and then Friday next week for the weekly newsletter roundup again. So thanks again, guys. I appreciate y'all. Take care. Have a great weekend. Peace out.
I never wanna hold you back. I wanna give you every chance to make it, I'm afraid if our love collides, you'll leave me alone tonight. 'Cause I'm changing and I'm breaking. Is this over? I'm scared to ask these questions, 'cause I know that you'll reject my love.